Hey guys, what's going on? So I have a 2008 Mustang seat, and the switch on it for the seat, this is my own custom setup, but the switch that originally comes on it was garbage. So it was broken, and it was almost $150 to $180 to replace it. And I just quite honestly didn't want to spend that kind of money on it. So I found these switches for cheap on Amazon and wired them up to the motors so that my power seat would work again. So if you're having issues with your, and this goes for the trucks too, but I know the Mustangs in particular, the actual switch for the seat goes bad, and then it just is a pain in the butt. Yeah, you can buy a new switch, but I didn't really want to spend that kind of money. So what I did here, you can see there's 3 motors on this, right? So there's one that goes front back. So what I did is I took the switch apart and I tested all these wires by connecting them to the battery to see which one did which. Now there's a tilt that goes that's for the front and for the back, so you can tilt them independently. I connected those to the same switch. So when I tilt mine, the whole seat raises or lowers. And it works good for me. I like the angle of it, so I didn't worry too much about that. And then the front and back. So I've got one switch that does the up, down, and then I've got one switch that goes front, back. The only thing I will say is that these are not momentary, and I wanted them to be. You can see momentary would be if you push it and then it springs back. These are maintained, which means it stays there. So the problem with that is that if you were to push this up and leave it, the motor would eventually create enough current that it would pop the fuse for the circuit that it's connected to. So I would highly suggest getting a momentary switch, not a maintained one, and doing this process yourself. And like I said, I got these switches were, I don't know, like $10 for 3 or 4 of them off Amazon. It was a really good deal. But it was just a lot cheaper to do than try to fix the old switch that was on it. Well, I can't find the old switch that I took out of here. I wanted to show it for reference, but at any rate, you can see the repair I did. The seat works good. Like I said, you just have to test the motors. And I set a battery next to it, and I touched the positive negative to find out which way was forward, backwards, and then hooked them up appropriately on the switches. Now, the one thing that you'll have to do is make sure, so obviously you just reverse polarity on the motors, right? So when you go this way, that's forward on my seat. This way is backwards on the seat, and that's off. So for those of you that aren't that good with wiring, we'll kind of walk through this with you. So you can see the switches that I've got right there, and the thing to remember is that you're going to have constant power that goes to the switch. So you can see this is my power that comes in for this switch. Got power here and power over there. And then this is a ground for the switch. So I have ground there and ground over there. Now what happens is these 2 wires in the middle are for, the motor. So when you push the switch one way, you get power and ground. Sorry, power and then ground. When you push it the other way, you get power and ground, so it reverses polarity. So that's the only important thing that you got to do. So you're just taking the motor and reversing polarity depending on which way you're pushing the switch. It's actually a pretty easy deal. So I have 2 switches. This back one here controls the up down, and normally there's 2 motors and it tilts. Mine doesn't do that. Didn't want it, don't care. So I've got both of those motors on the same switch, so to adjust the height of it. And then the other switch is my forward and backward. It's actually a pretty easy deal, so don't let it fool you. If you guys do have any questions or comments about the wiring, let me know in the comments below. And I think the easiest thing that I found to do was all of the wires are already over here, right? So I didn't have to splice anything. I just put the correct connectors on for my switches. You just have to test things. And like I said, touch the positive and negative with battery, see what it does, and make sure you hook it up and then test it. And you might get it wrong and have to reverse it again, but I mean, really no big deal. Anyway, if you have more comments, put them below. I'll try to help you as best I can. Thanks for watching. See you later.